In 2005 and 2006, Fernando Alonso won the F1 Drivers' Championship, ending 5 years of dominance by Michael Schumacher and Ferrari since the year 2000. Alonso's success made him the youngest champion in the history of the sport, and it was Renault's first Constructors' Championship. Alonso started the season off strongly, winning 3 of the first 4 races, and his title success was in little doubt. He sealed the title in Brazil with 2 races left after a controlled 3rd place finish. Alonso's championship was also the first for a Renault-powered driver since Jacques Villeneuve in 1997. But how exactly did Fernando get his start in Formula 1? Well, that takes us back to the year 2000 and his start with the Minardi team. For the first year, he was Minardi's test and reserve driver, but in 2001 he got his chance in F1 with a race seat. Minardi were by far the worst car on the grid, so it was hard to see exactly how good Alonso was, and he did manage to get a 10th place finish at the German Grand Prix, after starting the race from the pit lane. For the 2002 season, Alonso moved to Renault but as a test driver. You could say this was a promotion but also demotion at the same time. Alonso had put himself in a position where he was in a much better team, but he was only the reserve driver behind Giancarlo Fisichella and Jenson Button. During this year, Fernando was able to help with the performance development of the car, and also learn what it's like to be in a full works Formula 1 team while not having the pressure of being on the grid. After Jenson Button left the team, this gave Fernando the chance to race with the team in the 2003 season. He quickly made an impression when he was able to put in a pole position lap at the 2nd race of the year in Malaysia. This made him the youngest ever F1 driver to get a pole position, and you could easily see his talent shining through. Later in the year, Alonso was able to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, and in doing so, he became the youngest ever winner of an F1 race. After an impressive first season with Renault, he was able to get 4 podiums and finish in 6th position in the Drivers' Championship. This meant that he beat his teammate Jarno Trulli in the standings. In 2004, Alonso once again had a great season. He didn't get any wins this year, but he did get 3 podiums throughout the year and a pole position in France. He managed to get 4th place in the championship, which is a place higher than his previous year, and once again beating his teammate. The only non-Ferrari driver to be higher than Alonso in the championship was Jenson Button, who had a great season himself in the Honda. After 2 years of performing well in the Renault, Fernando was clearly a rising star in F1 along with Kimi Raikkonen and Jenson Button. With some big regulation changes for the 2005 season happening, such as drivers needing their engines to last for more than 2 races before they could be changed. Another big rule change was that the teams would be banned from changing tyres during a race, which meant that the drivers had to look after them better. Fernando's team Renault were able to build a reliable engine but lacking in speed, the McLaren and Mercedes engine. This meant that Kimi Raikkonen had the fastest car on the grid, but reliability issues caused him to lose out in the championship. The winner of the 2005 Drivers' Championship was of course Fernando Alonso, with the young Spanish driver claiming 7 race wins, 6 pole positions, and 14 podiums. He managed to get 133 points in the season, which was 21 points more than Kimi Raikkonen, who was his closest challenger, with 112 points. Alonso had a very good and consistent season, which overall made him the champion, and it was certainly well deserved. At 24 years old, he became the youngest F1 Drivers' Champion of all time, and quickly became a fan favourite. Now, for the start of the 2006 season, Fernando was the betting favourite to the championship. Michael Schumacher was his main competition throughout the year, but Alonso started the season with 6 wins in his first 9 races. In those 9 races, he didn't finish lower than 2nd position, which gave him an early advantage in the championship. Halfway through the year, the FIA banned part of Renault's car, which was the tune mass damper device. This slowed Alonso down in the second half of the season, with the Ferrari making good upgrades for their own car. This meant that Schumacher could outperform Alonso and make a bid for the championship. With only 2 races to go in the season, Fernando and Michael were both tied on the same amount of points entering the Japanese Grand Prix. Schumacher was leading the race when he unfortunately had an engine failure, which resulted in a DNF, and it gave Alonso the race win. This meant that Fernando only had to score 1 point in the last races of the season in Brazil to win the Drivers' Championship. He finished the race in 2nd position and claimed another World Championship for himself, and subsequently became the youngest double champ in the history of the sport. At the age of 25 years old, he was already a legend in Formula 1. This gave him the opportunity to move to McLaren for the 2007 season. I won't talk too much about this right now, as I plan on making a video about Alonso's time at McLaren in the future, but all I will say is that his 2007 season was very close to being one to remember, if it wasn't for his silly antics at the Hungarian Grand Prix in the pit lane with Lewis Hamilton. Fernando's first adventure with McLaren was a little toxic, so he decided to go back to Renault for the following season despite having offers from Honda and Red Bull. If you want to know more about what happened with Alonso's time at McLaren, then make sure to subscribe, as I will be making a video for that in the future. Anyway, let's get back to Renault, which is where Fernando spent the 2008 and 2009 seasons. At the start of the 2008 season, Alonso had a slow car compared to what he had been driving for the past few years. He only scored 9 points in the first 7 races, but after the team upgraded the aerodynamics of the car, this gave Fernando a faster car to drive. Fernando was able to win the Singapore Grand Prix, but that was only because the team actually ordered Nelson Piquet, who was Alonso's teammate at the time, to crash his car on purpose. Piquet did exactly that, by sliding himself into the wall, which brought out the safety car. This gave Alonso the perfect chance to pit at the right time, to put himself in first position on the track, where it's almost impossible to overtake at the Singapore Grand Prix. The event became known as Crashgate, which caused the FIA to ban Flavio Briatore from the sport. Fernando went on to win the Japanese Grand Prix as well, but this time he did it with the pure speed of him and his car, which did once again legitimise Alonso as being one of the best drivers on the grid. He actually scored more points than any other driver in the final 5 races of the season, which got him to 5th position in the championship. Alonso was due to leave Renault at the end of the 2008 season, which once again gave him the chance to join Honda or Red Bull, but he stayed with Renault for one last season. This was probably Fernando's worst season at the team, as with the new regulations he wasn't able to push the car to the front of the pack, with Brawn GP and Red Bull dominating most of the year. He only scored points in 8 races and only got onto the podium once in Singapore. He did have the chance to win the Hungarian Grand Prix as well. He was leading the race for the first 12 laps until he had the right front tyre fitted incorrectly and he retired from the race. Overall he scored 26 points and finished in 9th place in the position in 2009. Alonso then changed his colours to scarlet red as he moved to Ferrari for the 2010 season. If you want to hear more F1 stories, then make sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching.